Hey everyone, and welcome to my review of the brand new Tamashii Nations S.H Figuarts. We have Loki. He has finally arrived in the 1/12 scale version for the S.H Figuarts. He is a fan favorite, of course, Thor's brother, as well as the first villain we saw in the Avengers movie in 2012. So they finally have a 1/12 scale of him, and I think a lot of people were looking forward to this figure. And I believe that this is the revival of the Avengers characters for Tamashii Nations, because after Endgame, they've kind of stopped with their characters. They did bring out the Black Widow series, and they're slowly bringing out the older films because they never released characters from the Avengers film. So they're going to start off with the Loki character, and of course we do have the Captain America version as well. I consider this as the Avengers movie as well because he's wearing the same suit, even though they titled it under the Endgame Cap vs. Cap edition. But I think it's good timing they put these both together. Anyways, let's focus on the box first, and I'm going to say that this is a very nice packaging. It's kind of like the new style of how Tamashii Nations make their characters, and that is the normal cutout but also show the character in a digital print, as well as the character of the figure, in fact, at the front as well. Although I don't think this is really needed since we see the figure already, but I really like this photo on the left. Then we have the usual stickers and logos, and then on the side we have a picture of Loki, and then on the other side it's a different picture of Loki with the helmet. At the top, this is what it looks like, and at the bottom it's like this, and then the back is kind of what you usually see in a Tamashii Nations box, just a figure in different poses. So yeah, there's not much there. I also really like the colors, matches well with the Loki themes, so hopefully they continue doing this type of style. So let's unbox the figure. So inside we have a gold background as well as the instruction manuals to show you how to put on the accessories. So here is the Loki figure out of its packaging, and my first impressions is I'm liking it in terms of the look. Just look at the detail in the way they've sculpted it again. I normally say this, but I feel that it's one of the best face sculpts I've seen on a Marvel character, at least for the Marvel Avengers S.H Figuarts. And it does resemble Tom Hiddleston. The eyes do pop out. I think the nose, the face, the hair, pretty detailed, and yeah, I'm liking it already. Just look at the way the hairstyle is. It is separated into two parts, and I believe you can change it around, which I'll show you a bit later on for the accessories. And in terms of his full armor, there's a lot going on for Loki. So it's not just a body and the furts and the arms. You can see that they've got this jacket over him. So inside you can see the detail. And if you look at the way the jacket's painted, there's actually a lot of detail here. I don't know how screen accurate that is, but they've certainly not just painted it over. They've kind of got this pattern. And then the inside, again, you can see all the way to the bottom, very detailed. So I do like the way they've sculpted this, and even the gold parts, they do look pretty neat as well. So it's kind of like this dirty, gritty look to make it a bit more realistic. And then the back, this is what it looks like. So the cape is this soft cloth. It's very basic, so there's no bands inside, so you can't really shape it anyways. But since Loki's probably not gonna really need a very dynamic pose in terms of the cape, they just kind of left it very basic. Because I know that for the Marvel characters like Thor, they've used the hard cape as well as a soft cape in the past, and then for Doctor Strange it's the same thing. So I think for Loki, they've just played it the safe side and just given him a soft cloth kind of material. So just one last look at the face sculpt before we move on to the articulation. So you can see that's very nice, and I do like it. So for the articulation, it's pretty standard for most of the S.H Figuarts. Very good in terms of the way the figures move, but for each character, of course, they do have their own unique movements, and there are some limitations depending on the way it's sculpted. So for Loki, let's take a look at the head sculpt first. So for the head, it's going to be able to move side to side, Now it actually doesn't do a 360 spin, and the reason why is because his collar is quite high, so you can't actually turn the head all the way around, just kind of like a small side to side movement. And obviously it does go down and then upwards only slightly. It's because his hair is in the way as well, so this long plastic hair kind of just blocks it from going back too much. And since it's on the ball, it can go side to side if you want. And then for the arms, so there are two big shoulder pads, so let's see if the arms have a smooth articulation. So they do go side to side, and obviously again it's on a ball, so we can do the 360 spin. And then of course they can rotate forward slightly if you do it like this, because again his shoulder pads is kind of in the way, so they can kind of go sideways more than forwards. And then upwards, again you're gonna have to do it sideways as this shoulder pad's in the way. And then for the rotation of the lower half, there's no rotation, just like a small swivel. It's on a joint, so you can bend it backwards this much. And then for the hands, obviously it does do a 360 spin, and there's a small hinge I believe, so you can go slightly in and slightly out as well. So that's the arms. And then for the body, so we do have the jacket. You can kind of move it a little bit as it is quite flexible. You can obviously move the body, so inside you can see that the jacket, and then you have this kind of belt over him, so it's going to be a bit difficult trying to maneuver it too much. But for the waist, you can see that you can move it side to side and the belt kind of moves. And then for the crunch, you can go forwards. Again, this belt kind of makes it a bit difficult. And then backwards a little bit, again not too much. So the top half of the body does actually again turn, but I suggest you not force it too much because of this band, so you don't want to be breaking it. And then of course it can go side to side, so yeah, it's kind of limited, but I guess you get some movement. And then for the legs, you can kick forwards, so despite this overlapping. And then for the other leg, it's a bit longer, so the kick forward is a bit shorter. So the articulation obviously is not going to be very flexible. If you move it side to side, this is slightly better, even though the jacket again is in the way. So yeah, for Loki, you're not going to get too much movement. It really depends how you want to pose him. And then for the knees kind of go all the way back, so this one's actually very flexible in terms of his knees, surprisingly. And then of course, which should go all the way around if you want to. And then for the foot, you can see that the trousers are kind of overlapping, so it can't really go side to side, but the toe can go forwards and it can go downwards only a bit. Just before we take a look at the accessories, I want to mention you can remove the jacket of Loki if you just take off his two arms, and you can see that it's connected to the cape, so it's one piece. And this is what Loki looks like without his jacket. He can seem a little bit thin, but to me it's not too bad, and you can certainly have him like this for some certain poses. So the figure does come with a whole range of accessories, which include the alternate head with the hair, the alternate face, handcuffs, the tesseract, 2 scepters and 3 sets of hands. So let's first take a look at the alternate hands. We have the open palms, we have the grapple hands, which can hold on to the tesseract, and we also have the hands to hold on to the scepter. So for Loki to hold on to the scepter, you can actually take it apart, and then you slide it through the right hand and you place this one back in. And it's the same for the other side, so you take it apart. So I've now switched up the alternate head, which is the one with the helmet and some sort of evil grin, and I think this is a fantastic head sculpt by Tamashii Nations. Not always do they get both the heads right, and I think both of them do resemble Tom Hiddleston, so great job by Tamashii Nations. Just look at the detail of the helmet to the horns and just the way it's painted. And in terms of the face, I'm actually really happy with it because Tamashii Nations don't really always give us a expression face. Normally it's just eyes looking to the side. So for this one, I think it adds a lot of character to the figure. So yeah, I'm very happy with the head sculpt. And to make things better, you can actually swap out the face for the standard one. You just take off the front of the helmet. And here you have the standard face on the helmet, which looks just as good. And of course we can have the grinning face without the helmet. And now for some multiple shots by mixing and matching the accessories. And here is the rest of the accessories with the handcuffs and the alternate face sculpt with the face guard. Both of these accessories I like very much and I think they're pretty screen accurate. And now for some comparisons next to other Marvel S.H. Figuarts. Next to his brother, the Age of Ultron Thor. Next to the Endgame Thor. Next to the Endgame Thanos. Next to the Infinity War Hulk. Next to the Age of Ultron Black Widow. And next to the Iron Man 3 Tony Stark. If you want to see Loki paired up next to the Endgame Captain America, Cap vs. Cap, stay tuned to my channel as I will be reviewing that figure next. So now for my overall thoughts on the Avengers Loki S.H. Figuarts. Personally, I think this is an amazing figure and Tamashii Nations have nailed it this time. From the face sculpt to the armor to the accessories, it is very screen accurate. It's also rare for S.H. Figuarts to have a range of face sculpts, all three looking very different and amazing in their own way. It's going to be very difficult to choose which one is going to be your main pose. You could argue that the cape is a bit basic, but I think the rest of the armor is well painted and nicely sculpted, so I can kind of see past that. As for the articulation, it is a bit limited as the jacket kind of gets in the way. Also, the long clothes kind of get in the way for the bottom half of the legs and shoes, so there is some limitations there. But I think overall there is enough to form the iconic poses. As for the accessories, I really like the scepter and the handcuffs, but especially the head sculpt and the helmet, as you can really mix and match to get a range of poses. As for the Tesseract, it is a nice addition, but I'm surprised they didn't add a peg on any of the hands, so it doesn't really fall off easily when holding onto it. It's just a loose cube which you have to balance properly. So my final score is a 9 out of 10. It is the first Loki, one figure that many have waited for, and they didn't disappoint. It's also the start of the time travel, as Tamashii Nations are going back to the older movies before Endgame, with the Iron Mans as well as the Cap vs. Cap edition, which is his first suit. Hopefully there'll be more to come for the Avengers Assemble characters, since we are yet to get that line for Thor, Black Widow, Hawkeye, Hulk, and Nick Fury. Please like and subscribe to watch more, including the Avengers Endgame Cap vs. Cap S.H. Figuarts. Thanks for watching and hope to see you soon.